Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a camera comparison between two full-frame vlogging cameras. So on this side I have the Sony A7CII with a 28 to 60mm lens, and on this side I have the LUMIX S9. And the reason we're doing this comparison today is because the 18 to 40mm lens is finally out. So today I've got heaps of example footage to share with you, lots of comparisons, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do, of course, is compare the autofocus. The reason I'm using these kit lenses today is to check out this brand new LUMIX S 18 to 40mm f4.5 to f6.3, and to keep both setups as small and light as possible, kind of as a vlogging and travel camera setup. On the A7CII, I'm using the Sony FE 28 to 60mm f4 to 5.6. Here's a quick side-by-side shot of the optical focal range of both lenses. During these autofocus tests, I have both cameras set to standard picture profiles so we can see what those colors look like. Throughout the rest of the video, I use log. In terms of autofocus, both cameras are set up with equivalent settings. The A7CII is set to continuous AF with human IAF. The AF transition speed is set to 7, the fastest, and subject shift sensitivity is set to 5, responsive. The S9 is also set to continuous AF with subject detection set to human eye face body. AF speed is set to 5, which is the fastest, and AF sensitivity is set to 3, responsive. As you can see from these examples, they both do a fantastic job at staying sticky and keeping up with the subject. I have used both systems since they came out extensively, and I can confirm that you can really rely on autofocus with both of them to capture accurate, sharp footage and photos. Next up, let's do a vlogging test. So I'm currently on the Sony A7CII and I'm using the lens at 28mm. I have standard steady shot switched on and auto ISO, so I am just like pacing around a little bit, and I'll move so we can get a little bit of different lighting in the shot and we can get a feel for what that looks like. All right, and right here in this frame, I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit and zoom back out. You know, sometimes you wanna do kind of like dramatic shots while you're talking, so I'll see what that looks like. If it stays in focus while we're zooming, if it goes out of focus. There we go. And now I'm on the LUMIX S9. So this one is 18mm, and as you can see with my arm outstretched, it's quite a lot wider than 28. What's nice about this is that I can rest my arm a little bit closer to my body and you can still see more than enough in the frame, which is really good. So I have normal stabilizer switched on, so both of them on the A7CII and the S9 do not crop. I've got auto ISO switched on and I'll walk around a little bit so you can see what that footage looks like. I'll do a little walking shot, so I'm walking straight. You can compare the stabilization, which we will do a little bit later on as well. And just like the other one, I want to do a little dramatic zoom in, and we can see what that looks like as I zoom out and I zoom in a little bit. I'm not going the whole way because I think that might be a bit too much. But yeah, we'll see what that looks like, if it keeps focus while I'm zooming, if it loses focus while I'm zooming, what it looks like. There we go. This is my camera bag today. How cool is that? Both cameras fit in here so easily, and I've also got my little camera mount there, so when I need to be hands-free. This is how I was traveling in Japan. It was so good. So we're gonna do an IBIS test between both cameras. I'm gonna hold them like this, both hands a little bit away from my body. So this is the S9 stabilization off. The LUMIX S9 includes normal image stabilization, which is also mechanical. In addition, it includes E-stabilization off, standard with a slight crop, and high with a bit more of a crop. It also has Boost IS for handheld static shots. So now I'm on the Sony A7CII. I'm at 28mm with steady shot off, and I'm holding the camera exactly the same as I was the S9. In total, the A7CII includes standard steady shot, which is mechanical only, and active steady shot, which induces a 1.15 times crop. I find Sony's IBIS looks quite natural and still has a bit of movement to it, which can be both good and bad depending what you're going for. The 28mm focal length is not helping here. It will look smoother if you use a wider lens. So to keep things fair, I'm now vlogging on the S9 at 28mm, just so it's exactly the same as the Sony image. And I have normal stabilization switched on and E-stabilization switched off. Last but not least, we're at 28mm with E-stabilization switched to normal. But yeah, I do think that's a little bit too tight when it comes to a vlogging shot. You can't see the background too much, and it's just like my face is so prominent in the frame. I do like that here on the LUMIX I can go to 18mm, which is much more comfortable, even when I do have that slight crop from E-stabilization. Got a beautiful little spot here. I'm gonna set both cameras on a tripod, and I just wanna show you the crop difference between steady shot off on an active and E-stabilization on and off. LUMIX are very well known for their IBIS, and for good reason. It really does look super smooth, which can be great if you're traveling and doing a lot of handheld and on-the-go shots. The wider angle 18mm lens here is also helping the footage look much smoother. You can't see it in these walking shots, but there is some corner jello happening sometimes on the S9 that you need to watch out for. It's so windy today. We're heading over to the station. Got a couple of spots in mind that I want to film today around Sydney CBD. I'm on the LUMIX again, just in time for this transition shot. Next time I'll do it on the A7C II. So I do want to take a look at the build of both these cameras. So as you can see on the LUMIX, I am using the small rig grip because without this grip, the camera is just flat. So the A7C II is pretty comfortable to hold. You've got a nice little grip for your hand here. Whereas this one, even with the small rig grip, it is a little bit small. I'm kind of gripping it with like the very tips of my fingers. But overall, both cameras feel really compact. They're both really easy to use out on location. And I would say the lenses are just about the same size as well. In terms of weight, the S9 with the 18-40 lens and a battery is 638 grams. When you add the small rig grip I'm using, it weighs 690 grams total. The A7C II with the 28-60 and a battery weighs 678 grams, so they're about the same. The A7C II has an electronic first curtain shutter, while the S9 only has a fully electronic shutter. Both cameras have a single UHS-2 SD card slot, both have a mic jack, micro HDMI, and USB-C. The A7C II has a native 3.5mm headphone jack, while the S9 requires a dongle. While the Sony has a small viewfinder, which is handy for bright shooting situations, I will say the S9 has the nicer rear monitor. Both cameras have a 3-inch flippy screen, however, the S9 is nearly double the resolution at 1.8 megapixels versus the A7C II at just over 1 megapixel. The A7C II has a hot shoe to be able to use accessories with like flash, while the S9 has a cold shoe. The A7C II also features 2 additional dials, so it has 4 in total compared to 2 on the S9. It would have been nice to have 1 extra top rear dial on the S9, however, neither camera suffers from lack of shortcuts as there are enough buttons and customization options available. Vlogging on the Sony, like I promised. So basically what we're doing is Dan and I are walking around filming all this B-roll handheld. He's got the S9 right now, I've got the A7C II, and we're just like kind of swapping randomly and trying to get the same shots at similar or the focal length that suits it best. So the Sony goes a little bit longer at 60mm, whereas the LUMIX goes a bit wider at 18mm. Next, let's take a look at video footage and spec comparisons. About the focal length I just mentioned, both cameras have a feature to gain a little more reach out of them. The A7C II has clear image zoom, which allows you to zoom digitally in camera in 5 steps from 1 to 1.5 times. You can also zoom smoothly via the touchscreen or buttons. Similarly to the A7C II, you can use crop zoom on the S9, which allows you to control digital zoom via the touchscreen or buttons. Additionally, the S9 uses hybrid zoom, which adds up to 1.5 times digital zoom seamlessly while you mechanically zoom using the lens. I really like this feature as it's the most intuitive to use and gives you the most natural looking results. So effectively, on the S9, the 18-40 becomes an 18-62mm, and with clear image zoom on the A7C II, the 28-60 gives you roughly a 28-90mm. Let's take a look at a few other specs. The S9 is a 24 megapixel camera compared to the A7C II, which is 33 megapixels. Both cameras allow you to film in up to 422 10-bit 4K 30p with no crop. Unlike the Sony, the LUMIX S9 is capable of shooting 6K open gate as well as C4K. This is handy if you do content creation and you need to capture footage in both horizontal and vertical. You can use this open gate format to make it a little easier to frame your shots and to be able to crop them both ways in post. That way, you only need to film moments once. The S9 also makes use of shutter angle, which can be helpful when filming in different frame rates. Instead of having to constantly change your shutter speed to match your frame rate, you can just leave it at 180 degrees. Jumping back to autofocus as well, the A7C II features human, animal, bird, insect, car, train, and airplane autofocus modes. The LUMIX S9 features human, animal, car, including helmet or front of the car priority options, motorcycle, including helmet priority, train, and airplane. So this is what it looks like when you forget your Joby and you hold the camera directly. So I'm holding the A7C II and I've got 28mm right now. I am filming all this B-roll footage in log for both cameras, and then I'm using my own Rec 709 conversion LUT to color it afterwards. Pretty much in the exact same spot. I want to show you what it looks like when I'm holding the S9 instead. Right off the bat, my hand is slipping, even with the little extra grip that I've got on the camera there, because there's not much to hold on to compared to the A7CII. Because of that, my hand is slipping a little bit. I do always think it's better to vlog when you've got a extra point of contact to the camera, but you know, sometimes in a pinch you can't do that, so this is what it looks like. At this intersection, we're going to do some 50p footage on both cameras. Both cameras induce an S35 crop when you change it into 50p to be able to do slow-mo. I would say both cameras are extremely strong options when it comes to hybrid photo and video shooting, and honestly, both are a good choice. The choice you make will really come down to personal preference on ergonomics and lenses available for each system, because in terms of features, they are both super capable cameras. I would say the S9 leans slightly more towards being a stronger video camera due to the electronic-only shutter, and as it has a few extra features like open gate, stronger IBIS, better LCD, and shutter angle. Whereas the A7CII, in my opinion, leans a little more into the photo side with electronic first curtain shutter, higher megapixel count, it has a hot shoe, a viewfinder, and Sony does have a wider range of lenses to choose from. But again, I don't think you're making a wrong choice with either camera. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'm going to do a little photo focal length comparison for both lenses. So I'm going to start off on the 18-40, so the LUMIX, and I'll get a shot just here with that building in the middle at 18, and then I'll get a shot at all the main focal lengths we have. So next is 20. That's been so convenient today. I love it. All right, I'm going to do the same thing with the Sony, starting off at 28mm. So I will say that in terms of usability and using them out on location, even though they have very limited buttons, both camera bodies, I find that when you set up all your shortcuts properly and you've got your camera set up the way you like it, they're both really easy and like intuitive to use when you're out on location. I don't feel like either of them were very frustrating. They were both super nice and fun to use. Last but not least, we're gonna do some low light shots. So I'm currently at ISO 12,800. I'm at 18mm on the S9, and at 18mm, the widest aperture I've got is f4.5. So we just had dinner. It was so good. Actually, we had so much Japanese food today. For lunch we had onigiri, and right now for dinner we had chicken katsu curry. It was so good. But yeah, I'm just gonna walk around a little bit. It's so busy here in Circular Quay. Finally, switching over to the A7CII. So right now I'm at 28mm, and our fastest aperture is f4. So I've actually got a little bit more on the widest end of the Sony. I'm at the same ISO 12,800 and the same white balance as well, 5200 Kelvin. And yeah, I'm just walking around a little bit. So beautiful. It's like pretty much nighttime. We've got a little bit of blue owl left in the sky there. But yeah, the lights look so good in the background. So right here in low light is where you're gonna start seeing the limitations of both these lenses. Because we've got slow apertures, f4, f4.5, and that's the fastest apertures these lenses have, you're gonna really have to crank your ISO on your camera bodies to be able to compensate for the light. I am standing in front of this bollard thing, so I'm not like in anyone's way. So they can't walk through here regardless. No, I'm not being a menace to society. That is all I have for today's comparison between the LUMIX S9 and the Sony A7CII. I really hope you found that helpful, seeing these side-by-side comparisons. Let me know what you think in the comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every single week, so I'll see you all next time. Bye.